Hello boys and girls, it's Flint here from Backyard Blasters. Today's video, I thought we would talk a little bit about Gerbil blasters, because we haven't really talked a lot about them on the, well, we've done video reviews of them on the channel, but we've never really had a deep and meaningful discussion on these interesting things, which are like a hybrid of airsoft and paintball and water guns, water pistols. So what are we looking at? So a Gerbil blaster is essentially, yes, very much like an airsoft gun, except it shoots 8mm, about 7.5mm balls that are actually made of water and polymer. So it's the material that expands when you soak it in water. It's been around for a long time. Some people use it in garden beds to slowly disperse moisture, or in pot plants. So that's what the ammo is, and that's essentially the difference between this airsoft, between these Gerbil blasters and airsoft. Airsoft shoots your 6mm plastic BB pellets, airsoft pellets, some people call them BB pellets, whereas Gerbil blasters shoot what we call gel balls. Other names for these things have also been called crystal balls, Orbeez. Another name for Gerbil blasters, a name for the sport, because the sport's been created out of these Gerbil blasters, much like airsoft has. Airsoft is referred to as the sport, whereas with Gerbil blasters they call it Gelsoft instead of airsoft. Technically, it is somewhat like technically airsoft is a more. Technically, you could still use airsoft as a way to describe what Gelsoft is, because gel blasters literally they're still using air, and if anything, it's softer than actual airsoft, because these are moisture little balls of polymer, so they basically break on impact. Usually, when they hit you, they'll break on impact, and then it just kind of fades into back to Mother Nature. It just biodegrades. So that's the essential difference. Gerbil blasters use very similar internals to airsoft guns. In fact, there are now airsoft companies that make Gerbil blasters, and they've converted their internals just so that they can fit the bigger size gel balls. And so there's now airsoft companies that actually make that have adapted their airsoft guns, so they've made a variation that can actually shoot gel balls. Now, how did Gerbil blasting come about? It really came about because of the strict laws in Australia and China, and I think there's one or two other countries in the world where airsoft is actually banned. So that's literally how it came about. It's like people couldn't play airsoft. Nerf is not going to cut it. It'll cut it for some people, but not everyone, right? And so along comes the idea of I don't know who came up with it. If anyone knows or can put me in touch with the person that actually came up with or designed one of the first Gerbil blasters, I'm sure it came out of China, but maybe we can do a podcast. That'd be mad. So it essentially was created because of that, and so that's why the biggest markets are Australia and China. And that's why it's not so big in other parts of the world, because it isn't as good as airsoft. We have to be honest here. The problems, there are still problems with Gerbil blasters, and I think there always will be. I don't want to say there always will be, but it's inherently prone to more problems than airsoft. And the biggest one is you're mixing water with electronics, and I think it's incredibly difficult to make those two things work together perfectly. And for a sport where things have to be working 100%, you need reliability. There's still a way to go, I think, before anyone that plays airsoft would want to consider or be serious about playing Gelsoft. It is cheaper in terms of, although then is it cheaper because a lot of Gerbil blasters actually do break after some amount of time. If you're buying, most of your electric ones, so then you do have to buy other ones. But the ammo is incredibly cheap. What should we talk about first? We'll talk about the problems with Gelsoft. That seems what we're yeah, we'll talk about the problems first. So the water mixing with electricity, that can be a problem. Parts can corrode over time, and then you'll either need to repair it or buy a new one. And in case of repairs, it's usually cheaper just to buy a new blaster. The blasters are not built to high quality unless you're looking at these particular ones that are brands that do airsoft and then have made Gelsoft conversions. They're like really good quality, but they cost you, you're paying a fine dollar for those. But it's worth considering because your normal Gerbil blasters, they don't last an awful long time. Quality standard with most Gerbil blasters is nowhere near the same standard as airsoft. They do often have problems. How do I know? I worked for a Gerbil blaster company for 3 months, and I saw the returns we were getting, and I saw the quality of the products. And basically, what you get is there'll be one manufacturer in China that makes a particular model, and then all the retailers in Australia, for example, will buy that model. But that model is not like there's often problems with it. It's and like I said, the ones where they're more reliable are these airsoft ones, which are made from these airsoft brands that have made a version to shoot the gel balls, but they're very expensive and not many retailers sell that type. So the problem, you got the water mixing with electricity. The ammo is nowhere near as consistent as airsoft because it literally has to grow to the right size, and there can be variances in the size between the gel balls, so that your tolerance you've got to allow for a bit of tolerance between because sometimes it might be 7.2 mils instead of 7.5. Sometimes it might be too big, so that can happen, and it is more likely to just sometimes they might mash up the gel balls. Often they break. It's because they're not like plastic pellets that are solid and they're way more reliable. You cannot shoot Gerbil blasters as far or as accurate as airsoft because they simply are not heavy enough. The ammo, I'm referring to the ammo. The ammo simply is not heavy enough. You need heavier ammo, and until someone somehow can come up with a solution for that for Gelsoft, then it's not going to catch up to airsoft in terms of anytime soon, in terms of the accuracy and the distance, because you need the weight. And so someone can come up with a way to make the gel balls heavier. That would be a big improvement. So the other bad thing is the quality of the blasters, again, is it's not top tier quality. They're often literally some of the quality is worse than what Nerf comes out with. So if you see Nerf guns, they made it out of a solid plastic, whereas you see some of these gel blaster guns, and it's not even to that standard. So those are your biggest hurdles, is that the weight of the gel balls is not heavy enough, so it will never shoot as far or as accurate, and they often do just break apart because they are only gel and water. Now, all this said, it is still the best alternative that Australia and China and any other country where airsoft is banned. This is still the best alternative. So it isn't like just disregard it and it's poop. It's not. It's still there are sports. There are teams in Australia now that compete playing in this playing in Speedsoft, which I'm sure the same thing is in airsoft. They basically adopted everything. Think of just everything that airsoft plays. It's now just been adopted into Gelsoft. But remember, airsoft always has it came before airsoft came before Gelsoft. So this is it's a growing sport in the countries where airsoft is banned. I don't think it's likely for any serious airSofter to be like, oh, let's just go and jump on board. I think it's literally only if you move to a country where airsoft is banned that you would really consider Gelsoft. Now, Gelsoft does use a lot of the guns are actually literally like the copies of airsoft. So you've got HPA. There are now gas blowback pistols in Gelsoft, in Gerbil blasters. So they're definitely progressing, and it's getting better, but it certainly takes time. Like I remember the first Gerbil blaster I got years ago. You probably see it in one of the reviews on my YouTube channel here. And that shows you what they were literally like when they first came out, and they certainly have come a fair way from there. I do see a lot of problems with the with the modern ones is that the ones that offer semi and full auto, they always seem to like to switch to full auto. Now, I haven't heard of that being a common problem in airsoft. That might just be my lack of knowledge. Maybe it is something that happens in airsoft, but I didn't think so. I think most airsoft guns are pretty good at staying with, on full auto when you want it to be full auto and then switching to semi, whereas a lot of Gerbil blasters seem to switch from semi to full auto. Or if you're on full auto, like you'll just be left with full auto, and if you try using semi, eventually it just switches to full auto. From what I've been told, that can be like a problem with the selector switch or the selector plate that is used to switch your gun between semi and full auto. But that's just one little thing I know of that can go wrong. So yeah, it's still a fun activity and a fun sport, and heck, it's better with it than without it. Like before that, it literally was just Nerf in Australia, or you smuggled in your airsoft guns, literally. So it's literally just Gelsoft or Gerbil blasters. Gerbil blaster, Gelsoft, yeah, same thing. I'm just just referring it to as those two things. So another thing it can be referred to as is GBB, meaning Gerbil blasters, but GBB usually means gas blowback. So that term, try and not use that term. Is there a future for Gerbil blasters? Well, as long as airsoft is banned in some countries, I think there is. I think it will stick around. I have heard that there are already problems with China is now trying to restrict Gerbil blasters, and when you're exporting, like the retailers in Australia are having to really be careful on how they import them. Like even in China, they'll stop some of the Gerbil blasters. So what's the future like? I don't know. I mean, if they're going to crack down on it, if China cracks down on it like it has with airsoft, I guess, then maybe it could end up, fading away because people can't import it. Retailers can't import it. Now Australia, it's only legal in a few states right now. I'm pretty sure it's Queensland and West Australia or South Australia. I think South Australia just got banned again. There's few places you can play it in Australia, but despite aside from that, most of the retailers in Australia will actually ship Australia-wide, and it's your responsibility if you get busted. So they don't seem to have a problem with that. Like, the blasters can be shipped within Australia, usually without a problem. So it seems. So, but yeah, it's like Queensland seems pretty solid. Like it's not going to change back to making them banned, to banning them. But yeah, look, if we had airsoft, I'm sure that's what we'd be playing. My dream is eventually to live in a country where I can play airsoft, so that my future plan is actually to, if I travel, I'll get the chance to do it in, countries like do USA, Canada, like to go back to Europe, otherwise in the future I could always move to New Zealand, because as an Australian you actually have they have a cool little agreement so that we can go over there, they can come over here, and you can just live there as a permanent resident, and it's like super easy. So I've even got that at the back of my mind, moving to New Zealand. And it's a cool country. I think it's a little bit more open-minded than Australians, and it a bit more reminiscent of Europe than Australia is. I've been there once, but I was quite young. I probably would have been like 10 or maybe 12 years old when I went. But yeah, so if airsoft became legal in Australia, well, that would be really good. But right now, the fact that Gerbil blasting, Gelsoft's only legal in 1 or 2 states, it's not looking too good. But that could change. So this is already a very good movement, though. It's a good step forward from when we just had Nerf and there was no Gerbil blasters. Perhaps this will show, when the people, other Australian citizens and politicians can see that, maybe this isn't such a big problem, that people are being responsible, then maybe they will go ahead and legalize airsoft. And of course, look, there's going to always be people that will not follow the rules, and I can't help but sometimes I see posts on Facebook where people are like, it's always the other people that ruin it. The problem it's banned is it's always one person that ruins it for the rest of us. It's like, look, there is always going to be people that do not follow the rules. That's human nature. That's not just this person's fault. That's going to happen no matter what sport you're in. So, they're just looking to, I see people, Australians, looking to scapegoat it on other Australians. The problem is, no, that's not it. There is always going to be people that don't follow the rules, no matter what sport you're in. So, I don't think it's fair or reasonable to just try and say, oh, well, it's just because of these idiots that don't follow the rules. Like, that's always going to be the case, man. So, don't like seeing that scapegoating. It's not cool and doesn't make much sense. But yeah, so future for Gelsoft, for now it's sticking around. But yeah, it does look like it might be tightening up, like I said, with the China now cracking down on exporting. Because I talked to a few manufacturers and suppliers, because I used to sell products for backyard blasters. So I talked to a few of them, and even they were saying that it's difficult now to export. So yeah, we'll see. Anyway, drop down the comments below. Let me know what you guys like. Let me know if you've played Gelsoft before, if you have a Gerbil blaster, and let me know your opinions on what you think about Gelsoft and Airsoft. I'd be keen to hear both sides. Probably one of the biggest benefits for Gelsoft is that it is a bit safer. So that would be appealing for people that want to play a safer sport, not as hardcore as paintball or Airsoft, but a bit more involving, a bit more challenging than Nerf. Then it does fit a pretty good gap there. It does fill a gap. So it does kind of have its place out there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. That's all for today's video. I'll see you in the next one.